Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
The black vote. It is and always has been crucial to the success of the Democratic Party. Upwards of 90% of black voters have cast their ballots for Democratic presidential candidates for as long as anyone can remember. But new polling data suggests that there might be a crack in the armor, that black voters have taken to a Republican president, Trump, to a degree that we've not seen before. Is this real? Are these voters actually prepared to leave what's been called the Democratic reservation? Could Trump actually break that glass ceiling of single-digit Republican support among black voters? Joining us to help answer these questions is LibertyNation.com socio-political correspondent Jeff Charles. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Now, there's a new poll from Rasmussen that puts Trump's approval among black voters at a startling 36%, but other polls, including one from Gallup, place it much lower, around 10%. Which of these figures is more accurate, do you think, and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I kind of looked into the Rasmussen and also the Emerson poll that showed him around like the 34 to 36% range. I'm not quite ready to believe that yet, just because at least one of those polls only spoke with about 150 likely potential black voters. But that being said, I wouldn't be surprised that he would break double digits with black voters, because he's one of the first Republican presidents that has actually tried to speak to black people. It hasn't always gone his way, but black people do see that he's actually trying to reach them. They recently formed the group of Black Voices for Trump. That's a positive sign, because if you look at the previous candidates that we've had, they haven't done anything like that. Like Mitt Romney, for instance, actually shut down Paul Ryan as his VP when he wanted to actually go into black communities and start talking to black voters. His campaign shut that down.
Right.
McCain did a few things here and there, but no Republican president, at least not in recent memory, has actually said, you know what, I want to give it a shot. I want to try to see if I can get some more black voter support. I don't think that Trump is under the impression that he's going to get 30, 40, 50% of the black vote.
Right.
But it's a step in the right direction. It sets an example for future Republican presidential candidates, but even more importantly, it sets a good example for what the GOP itself should be doing.
Well, there's a line of thinking, which I suppose is backed up by numbers, that if Trump can hit double digits at 10%, certainly 12%, that by itself would ruin the Democrats' chances of winning the White House. But Trump's message to blacks in 2016 was, hey, what have you got to lose? Has that, Jeff, ultimately helped him or hurt him?
It goes both ways. I mean, because I think a lot of black people probably saw the point that he was making, even if they still didn't like him. They saw, well, I mean, under Democrats, we haven't been great. But on the other hand, it could kind of come off as insulting. But I think that beyond that, though, like even if we put that to the side, President Trump has done things that would help benefit the black community. Like we talked about the unemployment numbers, but that is such a mixed bag that they don't really give him full credit for that, which no president deserves full credit for the economy. But he's done other things. He's made it easier for black entrepreneurs to start businesses. He's given money to historically black colleges and universities. So I think there is room there for him to get some more votes. Most of his appeal among black voters is to black men. Black women are not feeling him like that, and that's just probably not going to happen. He kind of already has a problem with women voters in general. But some black men are even if they don't like his style, they don't dislike necessarily his policy.
Now, we've seen the record low unemployment numbers among African Americans as well as Hispanics and women and other groups during this Trump era. Do you think those numbers really resonate in the black community, so to speak? I hate to put them all into like they're all in one community, but do those numbers really resonate, do you think, among black voters, or are they just numbers which will have little effect in the upcoming election?
Well, the thing about it is that the unemployment rate in the black community was already going down before Trump. But at the same time, nobody can deny that Trump has had an impact on those numbers. You would be crazy to say that he hasn't had that some of his policies and him increasing consumer confidence in the stock market. You'd be crazy to say that it hasn't had something to do with those falling numbers. If he keeps that up, it's going to get to the point to where they can't say that it was forces outside of, that occurred before he took office, right, that is responsible for that downturn. So if this keeps happening, if the unemployment rate continues to go down, black entrepreneurship, if that starts to go up because he's made it easier, it's going to be harder to deny it. Now, I don't know if that'll happen in time for 2020, but still, it'll show that the policies that he's using, for the most part, are working.
Now, Barack Obama recently said that while he was able to gain intimacy, as he put it, with the electorate, Joe Biden has not been able to do that. So I'm wondering whether you think that Donald Trump has established any real level of what we might call intimacy with the so-called black community through his relationships with the former football great Jim Brown and, of course, famously Kanye West. Plus, you got Diamond and Silk and others. Or whether he's still just seen as mostly just another white conservative.
That is a very tough question to answer, because that's going to depend on which black person you're talking to at what point of the day. I mean, I think that him having a friendship with Kanye hasn't hurt him. But I think the thing is, he has an uphill battle, not all because of him. Part of it is because of some of the things that he says, but most of it is just the stigma that is on the Republican Party and on Republican presidents. So even if he said nothing, he would still have that uphill battle. So I think it's really going to come down to what Reagan said: are things better for me today than they were before? It's his policy that's going to count. It's going to be the impact that he has. If it's an overall positive impact, then I think that's going to help in the long run.
How about Charlottesville? Does that still have legs? Is that something that is still seen as vile by black people? Do you think, writ large, the way that his comments were flagrantly misinterpreted by the elite media to make it look like he was saying that, white supremacists are just fine with him?
Yeah, I think since that's been exposed, because they didn't just misinterpret it, they just straight out lied to him. They lied about what he said. Yep. He very clearly said that he was not talking about white nationalists or white supremacists, and I think that's been exposed enough. Now, they may come up with some other reasons to not like him, but the Charlottesville thing, I think that's failed now. I don't see a whole lot of people on social media or on the airwaves really promoting that, because it has been so thoroughly debunked.
Okay, Jeff. Well, thanks for your input. I appreciate it. And we'll stay on this subject as the election approaches, because the degree to which Donald Trump might be able to peel off more black voters might have a lot to say about his chances for re-election. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That is Jeff Charles, socio-political correspondent for LibertyNation.com. Quick break. And then we're back to discuss why Republicans are salivating and Democrats trembling at the prospect of an impeachment trial in the United States Senate.
Liberty Nation Gen Z. Becoming a strong defender of freedom and liberty doesn't just happen, it's taught. LN Gen Z is your portal for news that's hot, engaging articles without the spin. Go to lngenz.com for riveting videos that foster critical thinking. Download worksheets and quizzes for each age level. At lngenz.com, the future starts today. Combating propaganda. Defending freedom. lngenz.com. A free-thinking future starts here.